Women first.
My name's Viv and I'm a Gooniyandi woman. I was born and spent my whole life here on the land of the Kulin Nations. Broadcaster, agitator, and I just see things a certain way and I like to speak my truth.
My name's Duran Bunjalini, Robbie Thorpe. I'm from Carroll Karpany, which is East Gippsland, and my father's country and my mother's country is Western Districts, east of the Grampians, Narrm. And I've lived since I was a teenager in urban Melbourne, like Fitzroy, Collingwood, and I'm also a broadcaster and community activist.
My name is Carroll Karpany. I'm a Narrm Nation. I'm the Coorong's in Lakes regions of South Australia. English name is Carroll Karpany. I've recently moved to Melbourne to engage in all those things that will highlight the struggle and the need for cooperation at the federal and state level to come clean with the truth.
I think that's a pretty good topic to start with. We go into more of, I guess, sovereignty and what it means for all people of Australia that they're not even aware of as well.
Well, I think it's a good way to look at it is people should examine what they think sovereignty is for themselves and see if that could possibly apply to the original people of this land. Because if that's the case, their sovereignty is suspect or not valid. Maybe not valid. Their idea of sovereignty on these lands may not be valid. And my understanding of sovereignty is the rule of law of the land. It's the law of the land, basically. It's the authority of that land, and the sovereignty aspect of it is the divine part. It's the connection between the creator and the people of the customary law holders of the land. Something that's very unique, and it is groups all around this planet hold that sovereign right to the land, and usually known as the customary law holders. And it's there to protect the creation, basically. That's my understanding of the customary law holders. Their role and duty is to take care of the creation, and that's a sovereign duty, a creation duty. The laws formed around that. That's my understanding of it. Many people have got many different understanding of what sovereignty is.
And how do you think, well, this is a too big a broader question, but the crime scene that Australia is and the lies that Australians' government's rules are informed by, how is that not real? How is that not valid for people who have never heard of this kind of thing before? How do we explain that?
I'll keep going because I'll just, the people might know or realise what the meaning of terra nullius is. It was removed by the High Court, this act called terra nullius. It's a Latin term for empty land. So the whole premise of this occupation is based on the fact that this land was empty. There was nobody here. So there was no law to deal with. There was no, didn't have to do things like a treaty or thing. But that was all proven to be a lie. The High Court removed that from the statute of this country and described it as the act of unutterable shame, which is another word for unspeakable crime. So the occupation basis is an unspeakable crime. So that's the present situation, and 200 years of indoctrination, all institutions using that indoctrination to perpetuate that myth. It's not going to disappear just because a dodgy High Court says get rid of it. They might have removed it in terms of what's written in law, but it didn't. The idea is not taken out of the minds of the people yet. They still assume this. And what they did after they removed their basis of occupation they produced this native title from God knows where. It didn't go through no parliamentary process. It was just pulled out of the hat by the High Court. No, was it actually a court after they removed their jurisdiction? It's another question. Did they have the jurisdiction? Did they have the right to make laws then? And yet this native title appeared from nowhere, and it was imposed on the Aboriginal people, and that filled in the void of what Terra Nullius left. But they probably are assuming that Aboriginal people would consent to this, and that would cover that gap there. But Aboriginal people haven't really consented to the idea of native title. We're saying no, that's not how it works. That's not how the legal process works for our people. This is our land, and you integrate into that. You don't come here with your ideas or superiority or anything like that. You fit into the law of the land. Otherwise, go somewhere else. You know, we've got a well-established law. It's been here since the beginning of time. It's not changing because we get invaded. And there wasn't the process. You know, there's ways you can get sovereignty that we could acquiesce and agree and give you the consent. It could be a war where you win the war and take the sovereignty like that. And the other way, there was another one, like, way to get out of the way was...
Terra Nullius. Conquest.
Conquest, there's certain rules to be able to get sovereignty. Australia hasn't got these. Right, they haven't got these. There's no way in the world that they can call themselves a validly legal country in terms of international customary law. Even the common law. They were required to get consent to negotiate. They lied about that, deceived everyone about that point. So they can't use common law, and they can't use creator law either, divine law, as an excuse or a justification to be here, and particularly to dictate to the Aboriginal people about what the law is here. So sovereignty is our land, our law, basically, and that situation hasn't changed in anyone's law at this point.